Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers.
We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together.
Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Shelly.
I understand congratulations are in order. I understand that you and your husband are celebrating your 25th wedding anniversary this week.
We are. That's exactly right.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's very, very exciting. I don't know why exactly, but anniversaries with zeros and fives seem to feel more special than others sometimes.
I think the 25th anniversary is a silver anniversary, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I have not thought of it in that way.
Something about 25 years to me speaks of longevity. Do you remember when Mom and Dad had their 25th wedding anniversary?
Oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of that. Yes, I do.
Yes.
That party that I think we technically hosted it, even though they planned it, right?
Yes. I don't know what we actually did, but we were listed on the invitation as the hosts. We invite people to come and celebrate our parents' 25th wedding anniversary. And that was more than 25 years ago.
Right. So they celebrate, this is 2023. I got to do some quick math. They celebrated 56 years this summer, or January, this year, 56 years.
Isn't that crazy?
I will say I do feel truly blessed for us to have parents who've been married for such a long time. They have set an example for us.
They are true role models for us. Yes, I'll agree.
And I'm going to say that I am doubly blessed because my in-laws have also been married for over 50 years.
That is a real blessing.
The mom and dad are 56 years. So my in-laws, I believe it's 58 years.
Wow. I forget they're a little bit older than our parents.
Yeah. So it's, true role models. And it's funny. So I'm thinking, I've been married for 25 years. Surely I've learned something about marriage, right? So we should do marriage tips because really you've been married more than 25 years. I've been married 25 years. Like we know it all, right?
Yeah. Not on your life. Not from me.
We are not perfect.
We do not have all the answers.
We don't even have half the answers on how to, for marriage advice. So where do we turn if we need marriage advice, Shelly?
We're always calling our parents.
So that's what we're doing today, dear listeners. We have marriage advice, not from us, thankfully. Let's give ourselves some credit and our spouses, okay? Hang on a second. 25 years and 27 years, that's nothing to belittle. That's good. I mean, that is longevity in and of itself, but we still feel like we're in the middle of it. Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah, I think that works because even though it's been 25, 27 years, how do I phrase this? We're still at a different season of our marriage, a different season or stage of life than our parents. And our parents have already modeled for us how to get through this particular season and stage of marriage. Because as you know, to everything there is a season. And even our marriages go through ups and downs and highs and lows and sides and kids and no kids. And we're just right in the middle.
Right.
Wink,
right.
Wink, nod, nod, middle, midlife. Ha, ha.
Midlife. Yeah. We are very blessed to be married to each of our husbands. So today we are talking about marriage advice that we have received from people married longer than 55 years.
Which are our parents and your in-laws.
My in-laws, that's right. So, what's funny? It is, you and I have both talked to our parents about marriage and being married for so long. Individually, we've both had these conversations with them. So we've gathered some, I don't know what you call them, like mom and dadisms, some like things that they say to us. And oh gosh, I wish all of y'all knew our parents because it's just, you know how it is. Like it just
They're
rings.
special people.
It just rings so true to how they've lived their lives and lived their marriage in what they say. Shelly, I think you have the first one that you want to share.
Well, I want to say first that mom and dad are really special people, and we don't give them enough credit no matter how much we give them. It's really not enough to tell them thank you for everything that they've done and how they've raised us to look at and see the world and reason and think. So when we tell you some of their pieces of advice, hopefully you'll understand. So,
Understand us a little better, is that what you're saying?
right, understand us. So the first one I want to give you is something my mom told me about 3 years ago. We were talking about her life, and I asked her about marriage and what that was like. And she said, well, think about it. You take two people from different backgrounds and you throw them together, and then you say, okay, figure this out. Oh, and here's kids. Oh, yeah, by the way, figure out how are you going to raise them? And she said, marriage is hard. Raising children is hard. And she's right. And I love the way she said that when you realize that you're just two people with these different backgrounds who come together and are trying to create a family, you've got to figure it out together.
I love that. That just kind of sums up marriage. You take two people from two different backgrounds and then you say, now face all of life's possible challenges, all the things that are going to get thrown at you, go.
I think our parents also lived in a little bit different times than today. Although dad would be like, what are you talking about? Whatever age it is the age you're in, blah, blah,
There
blah.
you go.
But they were 19. They got married. They moved out. Dad was still in college. That's a lot. Can you imagine doing that at 19? I can't.
No, I met my husband at 19. I can't imagine having gotten married at that age or my own children being married at that age. No.
So they moved out into their own place. They tried things. They took risks. They had jobs. They really are a loving example of supporting one another, especially in those early years. I've never asked them how much support they did or didn't have from their parents, but both of them came from marriages that lasted more than 25 years too.
Right. I think that leads me into mine that dad told me, and that is always remember why you got married. And yeah, there's a little joke there that we're not getting into because we are a family friendly program. But the why and what attracted you, in the beginning, and why you wanted to take this giant leap. And something that I think, Shelly, you and I have had a little peek into their why is we have read their love letters to each other before they
No,
got married.
I have not read those. Mom wouldn't let me.
Oh, oops.
Have you read them?
I think so. Yeah, at least some of them. I don't know. Maybe there's some I haven't read, but I know that I've read at least a few of when they were in school.
Well, our mom went to college about 60 miles north of where dad lived that first semester. And so we are blessed that they do have a lot of their early love letters to each other. But every time I open that box, mom's kind of like, nope, 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 you're not reading those.
Well, I also am blessed that I have my in-laws. I have their love letters from when my mother-in-law was in college. And so I love it in that it gives you just a tiny bit of insight. I didn't know them obviously when they were young in that way. And so you can see it. You can see the love, and so I love the idea that dad says, remember the why. Remember why you got together in the first place. And I think that when life throws stuff at us, as it does, that I don't know. Do you have any love letters, Shelly, of yours and your husband's did y'all write letters? I don't even know.
Yes, I do. Yes, most of ours were cards. When we were engaged, I took a job in Galveston and he stayed up in the Dallas area. And so for about 6 or 8 months, we sent greeting cards to each other. And there are notes written inside each of these greeting cards. And they are carefully tucked away in a shoebox in the top of the closet. I'm waiting for our 30th wedding anniversary to pull them down and read them.
Well, maybe that's an idea. I did a study abroad while my husband and I were dating, and we wrote to each other nonstop while I was gone. And I have not looked at those in a long time. And so maybe that's what we should do for our anniversary. We should pull them down and read our sappy love letters and help us remember our why we got together in the first place. I love that. All right. Do you have another mom or dad ism about marriage?
There's one you wrote down. I don't know if this comes from mom or dad. And it's sometimes it's better to go to sleep, even if you're angry.
That was mom.
I am just like mom.
It stems from that whole, like never go to bed angry. That's advice people like to give. And
I hate that advice.
Yeah. Because why? Why, Shelly?
Because if I'm angry and you're trying to hash it out and I'm still angry, you're just going to fight longer.
And you're tired. Why do all those fights happen when you're tired?
Because you're tired. So it's easier to just, what is it in boxing? The bell rings and they go to separate corners and cool off. And
yeah. Just go to sleep. That's what she said. Just go to sleep. Sometimes go
because
to
in the
sleep.
morning, 90% of the time, you've forgotten what it was you were mad about. And it's much, much easier to say, I am so sorry. I do not know what came over me. I'm not saying you're right, but I am sorry that I reacted in that
You're still
manner.
not right, but I'm sorry I was so ugly about it. Is that what you're saying?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
Oh, how about you? Anything from your in-laws?
I have one from my mother-in-law that she said, especially as they've gotten older, to have continued patience with one another. You think it's something you need early in marriage as you're figuring it out, this whole living with a new person thing. But she was speaking from as you get older, that things are still changing. Maybe it's, your memory isn't as good as it used to be, or you can't hear what the person said 5 times to you, or, whatever, that you're going to have different challenges and different things. And so just continue to remember to be patient with one another as you go through these challenges in this new season of life.
That's a really good one. I can see where that applies at every single stage season of marriage. How many arguments would not even start if you just were take a deep breath and be patient with each other.
That's right. And have a little grace and humility, and you're like, okay, it's fine.
One of the things I love about marriage, Lisa, is the idea. I say the idea because I'm not perfect, but it is, when I think about it, the idea of loving someone so much that, how do I phrase this, that you would do anything for them. I'm messing this up, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, that you want to put their needs above your own.
That's it. Thank you. I had a brain moment there. Yeah. And I can say that one serves the other, to put their needs and their happiness above yourself. Sorry, I didn't prep for this, so I don't have beautiful scripture to tell you.
I think people probably know the beautiful scripture for marriage, right? We all heard it. We hear it proclaimed at our weddings.
I honestly don't remember which ones we picked for our wedding. I'll have to go back and pull
Maybe we should go back. Maybe that's what I should do for my anniversary. Go back and watch my wedding video.
Is it still a video, or did you get it digitized yet?
I've had it digitized. The last time we watched it with the kids, they were completely not paying attention to the wedding itself. They just kept going, oh my gosh, look at Nana. Look at Papa. Like, they all look so young. Look at Uncle David. They're just like cracking up at how young everybody looked. And they could not pay attention. I'm like, what about me? Look how great I look. And look at your dad. And they're like, oh my gosh, look at grandmommy. So it was a little distracting.
I am older now than both our parents were at both of our weddings. Let that one sink in for a minute.
Yeah. I think it's a time for another advice here. Okay, so I'll give you a dadism this time. And this isn't just for marriage. He tells me this every time I complain about almost anything. And he just says, remember the Lord's Prayer. Forgive trespasses forgive others' trespasses as
Forgive us
forgive
our
us.
trespasses as we forgive others. Meaning, if I don't forgive you, I'm not going to be forgiven. I've heard that one for years.
Yes, he
Years.
loves to say that. And so he says that about marriage too. That, kind of like what you were saying about wanting to love each other and serve each other no matter what. And there are transgressions, there's going to be issues, there's going to be fights and whatever. And he says, he always says, how can you pray that prayer and not forgive others? And I'm like, okay, thanks, Dad. Thanks for calling me out on that one. You're right. I'm working on it.
I will say though, Lisa, if you take that and you really meditate on it, that phrase that he has been saying now for probably 12 years or more.
More.
I will say that it takes on a new meaning, and that when you pray it on Sundays or when you are thinking about how you need to say I'm sorry or forgive somebody for something, even if they didn't ask you for forgiveness, you still need to forgive them. It takes on a whole new meaning when you think about how Dad says it to us.
Right. And then I'll apply it to your spouse and what you need to do in your marriage. That's a really big one. All right. Do you have another one from one of our parents?
Well, I already gave you Mom's, so I guess I could use this one from Dad. Speaking of forgiving others, he did have a little bit of advice about what happens when there are challenges in life. He said that everyone thinks marriage is, oh, they lived happily ever after, but that's not the way life works. He said in life, you always have challenges. And there's always things going on that, sometimes it's you and sometimes it's your spouse, but things happen and it creates a conflict and a frustration that affects your overall situation. And some people, they'll run into trouble and the first thing I want to do is blame the other person and say, oh, it's their fault because I can't make them do what they're supposed to do. I can't fix it. So I'm just going to give up and walk away. But he told me, I believe it's always a two-way street. It takes two to tango. So if you've got a problem, it's going to take both of you to fix it. So next time you get into an argument with your husband, remember Dad saying, hey, it takes two to tango.
I know. Early on in my marriage, I made the mistake of, complaining like when my husband possibly did something wrong. If my mother-in-law is listening, no, he never does anything wrong. But just in case he had, hypothetically, and I hypothetically complained to our father about it, Dad would definitely give me that advice.
He's very quick to ask a question that turns the whole scenario around, isn't he?
Yes. Yes. And then you're like, oh, you're so right. Why are you always so right?
Why do you think that is, Lisa?
Why is Dad so right?
I was asking you a question to turn it back around.
Oh, gosh, don't do that to me. Okay, Mom has one that she said, find the little things that you enjoy doing together and do them. And that can be as different as, the couples. Like, she always laughs at me because, Brian and I say, like, we go on date nights. And she's like, we never called it a date night. We just went out. Like they used to go dancing. They had friends. They always went out to dinner. And, we had a lot of babysitters growing up.
We talked about that in the episode, Don't Forget to Woo.
Oh,
we
true.
talked about Mom and Dad always going out.
That's true. We had a lot of frozen and order pizza with babysitters growing up because they were out having fun and, doing whatever. And I like that. And maybe that's that they've definitely modeled that for us. And, she mentioned that now that they're, they don't drive at night and they're a little bit older, that they watch a lot of TV together. They watch the same shows and they'll text a little side story. So like the other day they texted, they got a new streaming service I'm not going to give them a shout out unless they're going to pay me. And I'm at the service, not our parents. And they're like, okay, so I know you have this one. So what do we watch? And I'm like texting and he's like, no, your mother's not going to like that. I need you to give me a suggestion that we both like. And I'm like,
That's right.
yes. So I did. I haven't talked to them if they watched it yet, but I gave them a movie that I absolutely loved on that streaming service. So I just think that's so cute that, especially now that they're retired, they make the point to do these things together.
My Brian and I, we don't often watch the same shows. We don't often like the same things. And we're still at that stage of life where if I've got time, I'll watch something. And if he's got time, he'll watch his show. And then maybe we'll tell each other about it. There's a handful, just a handful that we make a point to watch together. But I think having the ability to watch television, movies, et cetera, on streaming services over different devices,
oh yeah,
it makes it much more difficult to come together and watch something. The last thing that it pulled the whole family together on the couch was The Chosen, and we didn't accept it quickly. He watched it first, and he kind of forced us to watch it with him.
That's funny. Yeah, for us, we don't watch a lot of things together either, but we do have things that we like to do together, and one of them is just we go to dinner a lot, just the two of us, and sit and chat. And I'm going to throw a little one in there, and that so there are times when I have tried something new because I think he would really like it. I did this on our 20th anniversary trip, actually, fly fishing. And the only reason I did it was because I'm like, he loves fishing. Like, he would really, really like it. So I was being all, like sacrificing my time on my vacation to do something he likes. And I really expected to hate it. I absolutely loved it. So you never know. You never know what you're going to enjoy doing together unless you try things. And I did catch more fish than him. I'm just going to say.
One of our anniversaries, I can't remember what, we did one of those, what do you call them? They're like the painting places where you bring your own bottle of wine and you can sip and paint something. We did that. It was fun. Haven't done it since. But another time we went with another couple to an escape room and discovered we really liked escape rooms. We'd never done them before.
Oh, our family's big on escape rooms, but it gets a little competitive crazy. So, all right. I know you've got a quote from Dad that I am just dying for you to say out loud.
You just want me to say it.
I do. I love it. When you said that to me, or you actually played the audio of him saying it for me, and it's just so him. It's so him.
Okay, here it is.
Okay.
And it's a little out of context, but I'm going to leave it that way because that's the best way. If you think marriage is perfect, you're an idiot. If that doesn't tell you everything about our parents or about us.
Yeah. Well, he's right. Marriage is not perfect. It's made up of two imperfect individuals.
And they choose every single day to love each other or to tolerate each other until they remember why they're in love again.
That is early advice Dad gave me when we got married. And that was, you have to wake up every day and choose to be married and to remember why you're married and choose it, because it is very easy when times get tough to kind of, take your eye off the ball, to forget what your purpose is.
I have a piece of advice that Dad gave to my Brian when he went to ask if he could marry me.
Oh, this has got to be good.
My husband is very traditional, and he did ask permission first. Permission, blessing, whichever way you want to call it. But he went to Dad, and Dad told him, the first thing he said was, you're never going to change her, right? Who she is now, you cannot change who she is. And Brian said, well, sir, that's who she is who I love. That's why I want to marry her. And he said, okay, I just want to make sure you realize what you're getting yourself into.
I love that. I was hoping that's what you were going to say, because I remember hearing about that at the time. I love that.
But I do want to throw in the caveat that one person may not be able to purposefully change another person, but by working together, you can help each other to grow and you can help each other to evolve. And if you do it in a positive way, then that growth will be good. But you can't go into a marriage saying, oh, she's got these flaws, she talks too much and she's a little too pushy and assertive. And I think that I'm just going to change her out of that.
Are you talking
Yeah.
about me or you?
Both. Hello.
Talks too much, pushy, assertive. Like, where are we going?
Flip a coin for the day, right?
I like it. I do have, okay, we went to a wedding shower when we were newlyweds, and I'm just going to tell you what my husband's advice was to this couple because it's so naive, but at the same time, it's kind of accurate. So you had to go around the room, and everyone had to like give them marriage advice. And we'd been married like a whole hot minute at that point. And his advice was learn early on that everything has a home. And you need to learn what that home is for each thing in your house. And once you figure that out, it will be a lot better.
What?
Socks. Don't leave your dirty socks on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Socks go in the laundry hamper.
That was your big one, huh? Mine was how to fold his t-shirts. We fold t-shirts different. Who knows that people fold towels and t-shirts differently?
Those are those things you just don't think about. Like, we call it a sock party when all the dirty socks are on the floor. I'm like, oh, it's a sock party.
Is that a passive-aggressive way of saying honey?
I'm not usually the passive-aggressive one, so I'm just saying. I'm usually the aggressive one, so just saying.
And I can attest to that. She always has been and she always will be.
That's how God made me. All right. Do you have any last words of wisdom from mom and dad?
Nope, Lisa, nothing else comes to mind at this exact moment. But if I think of another one, I will let you know so you can post it on our Instagram account.
That's a good idea. We should make little graphics. By we, I mean not me, but make little graphics of their advice.
You know what? I would really like to hear from our listeners what kind of marriage advice they have, depending on how long they've been married, or if they got marriage advice from their parents who were married. I was going to say 50 years or more, but I don't know if we want to put a limit on it. Just, I'm curious.
What's the best marriage advice you've ever received, or that you would give? If you're at that bridal shower that I was at, what would you say?
That's what I want to know.
I like what you said back at the beginning about thanking mom and dad for their example. And I don't think that, not just us, but I'm going to say society as a whole, really celebrates the longevity of marriage, the people who have gone through the ups and downs. And there are, I mean, nobody's life is perfect and nobody's marriage is perfect. And so, just once again, I want to say thank you to their examples and the other people in our lives that we know that have just shown us through thick and thin, for better or for worse, like that it's possible. It is possible in today's day and age to stay married and, and just keep praying
to weather the storms.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to think that mom and dad didn't go through any troubles or weather any storms, but they made it through whatever they faced because they did it together. And they never gave up on each other at all.
Their advice is all things that they learned from going through these trials in their marriage.
Yep. You know what's a good one? We should tell our kids these things.
Maybe our kids will listen to our podcast. Maybe.
Well, we can always set it aside for them so they can hear it in the future.
Hopefully, kids, are you listening? Take Nana and Papa's advice. All right, Shelly, I think we have some feedback,
yes,
audio feedback.
We did. We got our first audio feedback. It's on Spotify. If you'd like to leave us a voice message, go over to Spotify and follow their directions. And this one came from episode 16, Following Mary to Jesus. So let's hear what she has to say.
This is Maria, and I found this episode to be amazing. I appreciate both of your perspectives. I like Team Shelly and I like Team Lisa, and I wish you all the best. And keep doing what you're doing because these podcasts are incredible. And I would like to say that my favorite devotion to the Blessed Mother is through Our Lady of Fatima because there is nothing better than the sun spinning.
Thank you so much, Maria. That's awesome. And I love that you're a little team Lisa sometimes and a little team Shelly. That warms my heart.
And I love Our Lady of Fatima also. That miracle of the sun is just so overwhelming when you read more about it. Maybe we'll talk about that at another episode.
Yes. All right. So as usual, thanks for listening. We want to hear what your best marriage advice is. So, oh gosh, leave us an audio message. That would be awesome. As always, we invite you to subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already. You can visit our website at soundmindandspirit.com. And if you go to the very bottom of the page, you'll find our subscription box where you can subscribe to get our emails. That would help us keep in touch, and email us anything and we will respond to you. This was actually a lot of fun, and I think Mom and Dad are going to give us a lot of grief, like funny grief over this. So I really can't wait for them to hear it.
I can. Oh, but they'll be traveling probably, and we won't have to worry about it.
But they will call us. Phones work. All right. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week. Remember, we drop episodes on Thursdays.